Hello everyone, this is Paul. I am your host here for Shoreline Head Shakers, and today we're at the homestead here in Northeast Florida, and we're gonna do a quick walk around my new cart here in the driveway. I've had a couple people asking about what all is on the cart and what's the walking advantages here and so on. So let's take a quick video of what I'm doing here. I'll try and do all this in one take. Here we go. So I don't always carry a bucket, but when I do, I carry one that I've put a yoga mat. I took my wife's yoga mat and cut a couple feet off of it, and I cut out a circle on it and glued it onto the bottom of my bucket. This yoga mat material right here is nice and rubbery. It rinses the sand off well, but the main use of the yoga mat here is to keep a non-slip surface here, so that when I'm going down the beach and things are wobbling and shaking, the bucket's going to, even empty, stays upright and doesn't start walking off, so I don't need the bucket carrier. There's plenty of times I fish without the bucket, so when I'm doing that, I can just have it back in my garage, not worry about it, and go light as possible is always the goal. My cooler here, it's just a typical igloo cooler. I'm not trying to keep ice for days and days. I'm trying to keep ice for my time on the beach. I'll put a 10-pound bag in there. One of the things that I've done, and I'll mix my drinks in with my fish, I don't mind all that, but a 10-pound bag is enough to give me a couple inches on the bottom. And if I'm taking fish home, my first stop is always some kind of quick stop place to add another 10 pounds of ice. I always like keeping my fish fully encased with ice. What I've done here is taken the handle off. That saved me 2 inches, basically, over an inch on each side. And the other thing I did with a hacksaw and a jigsaw is I cut the handles off this ammo box that I use as my dry box. And the advantages of this is that I have a rubber gasket that locks down and really waterproofs the inside of my dry box. In here, again, it's seasonally adjusted for what I'm doing, but my towel, my flags that are rolled up, a bag of fish bites, my little portable hand pump, scissors, all that kind, all the typical stuff that a lot of people just put in a bucket or off to the side. This keeps it waterproof. When I hose everything off when I get home, I have no problems hosing off the dry box here because it'll stay dry inside. So cutting the handles off of that also gave me all the clearance I needed. And as a matter of fact, the dry box does not need to sit on a flooring on my junior cart here because it's wide enough to span both the under braces there, and then squeezes in between the rails. It fit perfect on this junior cart. The cooler itself is sitting on a screwed down piece of cutting board that I did, and you can probably see one of the screws down here. I've screwed that onto the frame. That's kind of a lifetime one and done kind of thing. I'm never going to have to worry about this rusting or decaying or looking anything other than perfect. But I wanted this gap between here and my lift kit. I wanted that gap, and it's a little over 3 inches, or right about 3 inches. But I took 4-inch or 3-inch PVC and made a holster, a little rubber, again, piece of a yoga mat. Keeps this from rattling around. It's kind of silly that I'm doing that even. But I carry my shrimp pump in a holster, and when I'm done with the shrimp pump, I can just drop it right back in here. It's going to drain through the grating of the lift kit, and plus I can rinse everything out just fine. My rod and reels, I use over the bar, custom made. I bought blanks and then made them myself here. I've got titanium guides on these rods to last a lifetime. They're Fuji guides, but the tube extensions here onto the stock or standard aluminum tubes, these tube extensions keep my rods from rattling around as much. Those of you running long rods and short holder, you probably notice a 12-inch kind of swing when things are moving back and forth like this. I don't like all that motion. Those tube extensions add a little color. I spray painted white PVC and flared them out with a heat gun and a empty wine bottle, and it works out just great. I have 2 more tube extenders. If I want to go 4 rods, they fit back here just fine. Brian Kurlick made my sand spikes for me a couple years ago. I gave him some prototypes to work with, and then he designed and built my sand spikes and sells them now. But I had a lot of fun. I've got some old YouTube videos of testing both my prototype and these. When I get these sunk into the sand up to the footrest, so I've got about 17, 18 inches of sink. Once I've got that footrest all the way down into the sand, I can take direct hits from waves if I want to. They don't fall over. And then I asked Brian to make my sand spike carriers and 2 bolts, top and bottom here, hold that on the frame. This isn't going anywhere. And then Kelly Metters, a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours that have met him, came up with the notion of using a stainless steel brazing rod for welding, and that's bent to shape and curled over here to hold my sand spikes. And this is a real quick way to deploy and get sand spikes on and off. The holder here, I've got little tiny zip ties to keep the Sputniks from the sinker guy here behaving on both sides of the brace here. And you know, the whole thing lifts off if I want to, or I can just open and close right here on the corner and pull off what I need. Nice and convenient way of carrying my sand spikes. Low center of gravity. They're not up in my face swinging. On my previous cart, I had them up by my handle or off the basket. This is better yet for me. Also, not always, but I carry just a quick cutting board that I can put down. It's much bigger than the basket and little piece of cutting board that you get with the FishinMates. But if I want a cutting board, I'm using chunk baits or live shrimp, whatever, anything like that. And I'm cutting up. I can, of course, just use the top of my cooler here, but I'm going to try and keep that from being all scarred up with knife cuts and all that. Same thing, not using the lid on my dry box here. And then for measuring, a lot of people use a measuring. I had a measuring ruler that I pop riveted onto the top of my rails here. You can still see the original FishinMate decal that they put on. It's kind of in a bad spot. The fish, when I put them against here, you're only getting a fraction of your fish up against on the thing. So I kind of said nuts to that. I had one of these aluminum measuring with a bump that fits nicely right here on the cart, and actually it went past, I think it went to like 42 inches or whatever. I didn't need the front of that sticking out of the cart, so I cut it down with a jigsaw to 35 inches. I'm not trying to it's more than enough I need. I could probably cut it way down here, because pompano and whiting, I'm down on this end of the scale anyway. But this works out nice. It's I can plop it down onto the sand, and it stays put for me on the cart when I just let the bump stop hold it on the dry box. And and you can see when it's cut off, it's not all sticking out too much. Underneath, I've got a soft-sided cooler that I can put drinks in. And also under here, I've got a little basket I made and a holder that I'll use in the sand or in the wash on the surf to hold my ghost shrimp, pump, discharge my pump into this, and then look for ghost shrimp that way. My chair holder, I was able to buy some stainless steel hooks off of Amazon. I put some Gorilla tape on this because what it was doing when it would swing walking, I had a nice squeak just from aluminum on the stainless steel here. So this tape got rid of the squeak. I don't like making a lot of noise when I'm going. So, and the width of my handle, you saw me take it off, pops this chair just nice and quick off the handle when I'm sitting there. And I'm doing that to show you my my sand anchor. This is CPVC. It's a little tougher, a little thicker. It's kind of a thick wall pipe, and I'm using that as a sand anchor. So when you see it down here, and I disconnect, these are one of the clips that comes with, I drop down, and then this red is there to show me, hopefully draw my attention when I get up to move my cart, that my sand anchor is deployed, so I'm not trying to bend off the spike here. 1 inch, or I guess this is 1/2 inch. I guess I should be more accurate than that. This, I believe, is 1/2 inch inside diameter pipe, which gives you a little, you can see it fits down in this bracket just fine. But so I go back and forth with that. I lift it up, put the pin back in it. I've got a hole drilled. I circled the drill or the hole with black marker here so I can find the hole when I'm looking through the cavity here to hold it up. But the red is hidden by the height of the bracket here, and so that will, at a quick glance, lets me know I'm up. And when I'm in the sand and push down into the sand to keep my cart in place, it should hopefully draw my attention. You can see my eye bolts here. These are stainless steel eye bolts that I've put in the corners of the frames. This helps me on the truck when I push up my wooden ramps and load in the truck. I've got straps that just buckle into that real quick, and it keeps what I call the Dorothy effect, where a lot of wind driving down the road, that the cart would have a tendency to lift up from the bed of the truck. For clearance purposes, the rods and the sand spikes are off the cart when I load it. And the way I've put the distance on my ladder rack here, instead of having the ladder rack back all the way here, I've left space here for taller things in the back, like my cup holder and flagpole here. I'll get to that in a second. On top of my ladder rack, a lot of people have seen that through the years. This is basically ski racks. I guess down here in Florida, a lot of people use these for surfboards, but they're lockable, and I've purposely mounted all this for the locks to be on the inside, again, to help discourage any kind of quick theft kind of notion. So they lock when I put my rods up here, and that's how I transport my rods. I always keep them together. I don't pull them apart. So when I'm on the beach, rubber O-rings, I like these with a zip tie. This is a lot quicker to deploy. And also hook keepers are usually the first thing to break on a rod. They decay one way or another and break off. I'm sure everybody's got a fishing rod with a broken hook keeper that's been you know, spun in and lacquered over with a rod. But this is a zip tie. When these eventually wear out from, they'll crack and get more brittle over time. When they break, I just cut my zip tie, put a new washer on here. And the bottom of my rigs, the snap swivel here is just a great place to hold my rig in place. So literally, when I'm on the beach, I put a little slack here, pull this out, snap on my Sputnik sinker, and then hit my baits up on the two hooks, and off I go. So not a lot of time spent being ready to fish when I hit the beach. These, a lot of people call these sand spike holders. I call it my umbrella holder because I have a sand spike holder. But again, these are holders that Brian Kurlick makes and sells, and they're notched, so they'll kind of lock in an open position. A quick lift and swivel lets them, and the way I mounted them, I've got them so that they can go flush up against each other here without hitting. That's just doing some measuring. But I've liked those holders for a long time now. What else do I have to show? Oh, my flagpole. So this is one of these killer awesome, what are they called? Bobo Cup holders. They've got a nice set of stainless steel pinchers in here that hold it very tight up against anything you want to clamp on. And I've notched out the bottom of this, so it's always going to give me the same orientation from where I've got my cup holder. And if I wanted to, I can just lift and rotate this and go back down into the opposite sides of those notches if I want to carry this on the inside. But typically out on the beach, it's like that. And then here is my flagpole, and I'll have to post a link, but this was something off of Amazon that I got, and I've still got sand on it from last use. But I drilled a hole in a cap and then filled it with, I think this was Marine 5200, and once that cured and locked, it's locking that cap. And so when I want to deploy my flagpole, I put it in opposite, and this locks on the cap, so this whole bottom thing becomes part of the flagpole. And then up top here, I've got a rubber insert. It actually comes with a rubber insert, but it kind of wears out quick. So what I did was put some red electrical tape around that just to make it a little bit bigger diameter to hold in there. But this is a 3-section flagpole, and you know, you do a little half twist and lock it. Same thing with the top. And I've got 3 or 4 sometimes flags flying, and sorry for the jumpy video. Like I said, I'm trying to make this all one. But that locks in, and I've got my flagpole up. I'm up about 14 feet or so, 13 feet, a little above the height of the fishing rods. But that works out real well for me. I think that's everything. I had to reduce the width of my axles, or the length of my axles. So I had to cut them down when I went from a senior cart down here to this junior cart. And so I re-drilled and so on to put the linch pins back in on the axles. Up here on the handle that I've got, most of the handles everybody gets comes just straight aluminum. Come July and August, that aluminum gets warm. And so what I've done, following what I do on my fishing rod builds, is underneath here is a complete wrap that long of the fake cork that you can do for handles. So I've got the cork down first to give it some sponge, and then heat shrink on top of that, and then I finish off with black vinyl electrical tape here to just kind of seal everything off. But the heat shrink on this handle material is not going to let that slip anyway, but I'm just keeping moisture out or sand and whatnot. So I've added the handle grips to the handle. Let's see if there's anything else. I'm sure people, please ask me questions when you see this post, and I'll answer as quick as I can. Anyway, that's my newest surf cart. So on behalf of all of us here that enjoy getting out on the beach, and another way for me to help promote the shoreline head shakers here, I wanted to share this with everybody. So have a great day, and I look forward to comments and any questions.